Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing, with an incredible show for you guys. I have some exciting news. The RSI Trade of the Day did trigger, and it gave my expected target. The unfortunate part about that RSI Trade of the Day is it didn't happen until later in the afternoon. And so by that time had kind of run out for me, and so I didn't end up taking that trade. So congratulations if you guys did. It did pierce my level by a little bit, by about 20 cents, and then got that 4 to 5% pullback like I was expecting. So before I get started, I just want to ask you guys, if you guys like what you guys see, if you guys are the first time, awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you guys have seen this before, please make sure you share with your friends. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you can get notified when I go live at 8:45 every morning. I'm going to try to give you a couple different setups for long trades and swing trades, and give you something that not a lot of people are talking about with the relative strength index and how you can indicate, or how it tells you what the stock is likely to do the next day. It's fascinating stuff. I had to deep dive into it and figure this out, but it's over and over and over again. It's told the story of what I'm showing you guys in these charts. Okay, so now with that, let's go ahead and just dive into the RSI recap. All right, so like I was mentioning, relative strength index on QBTS, QuantumScapes. Let's go ahead and switch to this frame. All right, QBTS had this nice run up on Wednesday. And so I was mentioning there's this upsloping trend line that price action is likely to get rejected from, especially with the indication that the relative strength index is telling me that price action should head higher. And so I had my upside target, $24.71, right into that trend line. And then lo and behold, it went up there, hit that target, and had a nice pullback. All right, so here's what happened. The relative strength index indicated that there was continued buying pressure in this stock. It did drop below the 30, but it was only a brief moment. And then the price action and the relative strength index action headed higher throughout the day on Wednesday. And so looking at the daily time frame, okay, based on Wednesday, price action should head higher. And so where am I looking to short it? Because you always want to short something or go long into either support or resistance. In this case, go short into resistance. And so I drew this trend line. I created this trend line from this low pivot right here. It extended all the way through here. And this was the upper end of this upsloping trend line. So $24.71 was my target. Now I was off by a little bit. I had my my entry price right here. It could have been right here, and I could have nailed the top, $24.79. Now it's down to $23.04 in the pre-market. And so it hit our target, our entry, and it gave us our downside target. So again, congratulations on that. All right, let's go ahead and go into a couple other charts. I was also mentioning yesterday, APP, the relative strength index also indicated that there was a kind of a rounded bottom in APP. And so I anticipated it based on the relative strength index that there was going to be a pop higher. And I was saying, all right, $625 would be that first potential level that I would look to get in. Could go up to 630. So it got to 625, got a $5 pullback. And I was saying, $5 to $6. And then it got up to 630 and then it pulled back. Look at what happened. So the relative strength index told me it was going to pop. Then it got up to 625 and then got this nice $5 pullback. And then it headed higher. Relative strength index kind of stayed neutral, and so did the price action. This isn't an opportunity for us to trade, even though it did hit the relative or the 30 on the RSI and then hit back above the 70 and then back to the 30. It basically just chopped in a range. And so at that point, APP was off the radar for me, but it did have a nice sell-off towards the end of the day. The highest point was 632, but then a nice rollover towards the end of the day. APP is a no touch for me as far as a day trade. However, the more of a swing trade, I still like this 630 level. Now it could go up to as high as 650, but I would say that's the max upside for me based on the relative strength index, considering it is up to 84 right now. All right, SNPS is another stock that I'm looking at. So this is more of a swing trade, and I'm actually more bullish on this. Look at what's going on with the relative strength index. It did drop below the 30, got down to 16 on SNPS. SNPS dropped below the 30 on the relative strength index, and I believe this was on the back of earnings, and then had this nice surge to the upside. So I have an upside target of $536.59. But if it can get through that level, $604.18 would be my secondary target. And the reason I say that is look at what happened to the relative strength index. The RSI stayed extremely positive. It did drop below the 30, but it never took out a low pivot. So anytime I'm looking at an RSI and the price action, it has to take out kind of a more of a, even a minor pivot in order for me to say, all right, well, now the market sentiment has changed. Now the sellers are stepping in this case, but this didn't happen in SNPS. And so it is likely to push the price of SNPS even higher. So that's why I'm bullish on SNPS, at least short term. So I would be looking for at least an upside target to, if you're going to short this day trade, I would look for the $500 even pierce, wait for a 3-4% pullback. But ultimately, based on the chart on the daily time frame, I expect further upside. All right, HIMS is another stock that I'm looking at. HIMS was extremely strong on the day yesterday into a lot of resistance, but the price action just kept floating higher. And look at this, the relative strength index. So here it opened on the 18th. The relative strength index stayed higher, never dipped below the 30. It got right to 30, but never dropped below. The price action just continued higher and higher on HIMS. And now let's go ahead and go to the daily time frame. It basically got to this high pivot from the 12th of September. If price action can consolidate a little bit more and push through, I've got an upside target of $61.86. So if I'm looking for a day trade, I will enter a short on HIMS at $61.86. Although this is not my trade of the day, this is another stock that I'm looking at for a potential short on the markets or on this chart. NPower is another one that I'm bullish on. The reason I'm bullish on this one, Net Power is broken some down sloping trend lines, and then look at the relative strength index. The relative strength index for the last couple of days has stayed really strong, and the price action has stayed really strong, meaning or indicating that there is still a lot of buyers in NPWR, and so I anticipate a move to the upside. So on the daily time frame, you've already broken this down sloping trend line. You passed the 50 on the relative strength index to the upside. So for me, this indicates that it's got higher to go. What I would be targeting is these. So you've got a bunch of pivots here at $3.39. This would constitute like a triple top. So you got one pivot here, second pivot, third pivot. So you can see that there's a lot of resistance at this level. Relative strength index, as it's continuing higher, the price action should continue higher. And if it can break through that level, it'll probably hit this upsloping trend line, probably around $3.80. And so from $2.69 to $3.80, that's a pretty substantial move to the upside. A safer way to play this, if you want to play something like this, would be a retrace of the scene of the crime. So you got this downsloping trend line that broke out of. So you could wait for $2.25. So basically a price action to pull back to that level. I don't see that happening. And so I would probably start a small position here. And this is start a little bit of a small position here, knowing that this is a speculation play. Okay. So it could head back down to that downsloping trend line and then end up bouncing. Or if it flushes below that downsloping trend line, then the sellers are still in control and are pushing this even lower. All right. Cool. So the next play that I'm going to show you guys is the trade of the day, QuantumScapes. This is another chart that I'm bullish on. I do have an upside target for a day trade level, but ultimately QS is on my radar for a potential long trade. But let's go ahead and go into the trade of the day. All right. QuantumScapes. The relative strength index has been off the charts. It's not often that I see the RSI that stays above the 30. Usually it gets down to right at the 30 on the RSI. This got down to 35. So the sellers couldn't even push it down to the 30 on the RSI, and look at the price action. Just continue slowly grinding up on QS. So this is all about solid state batteries, providing extremely longevity, not on battery life, but also range on these electric vehicles. So this is another speculation play. If they bring out the technology, as it looks like they could, and the buyers keep stepping in, this thing could surge. So QS, my RSI trade of the day is short QS at $13.80. I would be looking for a 3 to 4% pullback off of that $13.80 level. This is only a day trade. Look at the relative strength index. The RSI has gotten up to 90 on QS. This is a smaller company, but it's still beaten up. So if we can take out this level, this gap fill right here, your secondary upside target or next resistance level is going to be $14.66. And then if we zoom out even further, look at the price action of QS. It got up to $132. So if the solid state batteries are correct, they can provide a lot of range. It'll minimize range anxiety. A lot more people will likely get into electric vehicles. And so it has an upside potential of, I would say, even $25 if the momentum keeps going, right? The relative strength index, again, can get up to 88, even higher on QS. So ultimately, I like this for a long play. But my trade of the day still stands for a day trade. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, tuning in live. Please, again, like I was mentioning earlier, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, so you can get more content like this. Ring that bell so that way you can get notified at 8:45 when I go live every day. The market is open, giving you guys some potential trade setups for swing trades and some day trades. So that's what I have for you guys. Please stay tuned. Gary Soloway is going to be going live with my game plan, my trading game plan at 9 o'clock. So less than 3 minutes. You guys don't want to miss that. And we'll see you guys next time in the charts. You guys have a great day. Take care.